I'm so excited because today's episode is available in full video on our new YouTube page, thanks to our sponsor, Porta Potty, and that's potty with 2 Ds. If you've ever thought about having your own podcast, you have to check out portapotty.com, where they bring the studio directly to you and they handle everything. It's a game changer for small business owners. Watch our first full video episode on YouTube at Nothing Small About Business and check them out at portapoddy.com.
You're listening to Nothing Small About Business, where big thinking meets real world action. Ready to level up? Let's get into it.
Today's guests are a special one for me. I'm joined in studio by Stacy McCarthy and Lindsay Fleming from Main Street Counseling and the voices behind the TakeTwo Podcast. Not only are they incredible therapists doing meaningful work around mental health, but I've also had the pleasure and privilege of working with them on their podcast. So I'm excited to flip the mic today and dive into some mindset and tools that people can implement around executive functioning, anxiety, and ADHD. So Lindsay and Stacy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us, Sarah. I'm excited.
I know, and I have to say, we like this better, sitting on this side of the podcast where you get to ask us
It's
questions.
more relaxed.
It's probably a lot less that you have to prep
Yes.
because you already know the answers to all the questions I'm going to be asking you.
I mean, I don't have papers.
I know. Where's your notebook?
I don't have
Usually Stacey
16
has her
stapled papers that I normally have. So I'm relaxed.
Lindsay didn't have to worry about not printing out all the show notes ahead of time.
Correct. So this is good for
No,
us.
this is perfect. We love it. Thank you for having us.
Yes, of course. Okay, before we jump into all that, we just need like life update. What's happening with the practice? Fill everyone in on the TakeTwo Podcast. Who wants to take that one?
Oh,
You're the starter.
I guess so. The podcast we've had to put on pause, like Housewives.
Yeah.
We put it on pause just because the practice has been growing, which is very exciting. It's taking up a lot of time and energy in the best way.
Yes.
So we've expanded in 2 ways. We've expanded the services we offer. So now we do a lot of testing and trying to help have that in-house so therapists can really support kind of that. I don't know with testing. Diagnostic
So
stuff, yes.
therapists can better understand what they're dealing with when there's a question.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that could be really important,
Not having to refer out for that.
Mhm.
And then also medication management.
which we are so excited about.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize you guys were adding all that.
Yes, that one we're really, really excited about. It took us a long time to find somebody we
We
trust.
waited. We interviewed people and we were like, this is a big deal. Prescribing is obviously very serious. We take this, seriously. So we made an offer to somebody and she was somewhere else, but we really wanted her. So luckily we didn't hire anyone. And then she came back to us and said, I actually would like to work for you.
Oh, wow.
So we brought her on.
See, it always works out, right?
No, so
I
we didn't want to
know.
rush and we're happy we didn't.
We could have jumped on somebody else, but we were like, no, let's just wait.
Wait, if it doesn't feel right, don't
Yeah.
jump into it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She started September.
Yeah, so relatively new. And then you've known that we have our Park Ridge location and our Lakeview location. And now we've opened up a location in the North Shore and a location in Arlington Heights. So very
Wow.
baby new, 1 office each, but it's very exciting.
Yeah.
How are you guys managing growth like that? I mean,
It's a lot. It really has. But that's why I think the podcast is on pause.
I know, yeah.
Because we really do just have so many irons in the fire. It's a
Mhm.
lot. And so I think we've just kind of divided and conquered, and we're just take it step by step, day by day. We did institute a to-do list, which is huge for the two of us to share a to-do list because there's so much right now. But I think we're handling it pretty well.
Yeah.
like
I
the
think-
saying, like 1 is 1 and 2 is 20, like 4 locations.
I know.
Wow. And how many therapists then do you guys have working in all those locations?
It's like a total of 29. 4 interns
4
and 5
interns.
interns.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So you guys, your heads are spinning. And that's obviously why the podcast has to be on hold a little bit
A little
because
bit.
Yes.
a lot of different things going on and
Mhm.
things to
That was
manage.
putting you over the edge.
My favorite is when Stacy's like, okay, we want to do all these things, just not right now because I can't put one more thing on my plate this week.
Literally, like,
And then we're like, next month. And then the next month comes
Well,
around. Like, next month.
we would come to Sarah and be like, we're ready to do this. Something would happen. I really
Yeah.
genuinely feel like when we came to you at one time, we were like, we're going to
We're in,
commit to
yeah.
this. This is our focus. And then it's just like another door opens and it's like, okay, we'll walk through that. But we still have the
Right.
gas
Yeah.
sitting there. So
And then it's like, okay, let's open another location real quick. Let's just throw one more in and then,
Yeah, why
you
not?
know,
yeah.
you already have your systems in place and stuff.
True.
I do think that we've honed in on that where it's like, how do we grow in a way that feels really good? So we've learned a lot, and then being able to make it more smooth each time has been helpful.
Okay. And one area that I think that you guys excel in with this, and the reason why this is working the way it is because you guys have such different skill sets.
Mhm.
So talk to me a little bit about like how you guys identified those and how that works in like a working relationship with you guys.
I don't think it's hard to identify because it's so obvious, really.
I know. And I would like to say, like, learn from us, but don't do what we did. We did not know each other very well. And we're like, more I was like, we're opening a practice together.
Yeah.
And Stacey's like, okay. We didn't know that really going into it. We
We
kind of
really
went in
didn't.
blind. We're just like, we're in the same career, like
Mhm.
where your head's at. And then luckily it
Yeah.
turned out that we have two very opposite skill sets. I'd say Stacey's so good with like making sure things are organized. We like to say I like to jump in with 2 feet. Stacey likes to be like, hold on. Let's make
And
sure
then
this
I
is
like
like
to be like, I can't go. And she'll be like, I'm going to push you a little. So the balance of
Mhm.
that is really nice. And I think we found like a good cadence where we respect.
Yeah.
I respect her jumping. She respects me waiting, but we like encourage each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were so right. We really were just lucky to have such opposite skill sets. But now that I know more,
Mhm.
I would tell somebody starting a business with somebody else, try to find somebody that complements you
Mhm.
and, kind of like fills in your gaps where you're weak and has the other strengths. It's worked so well.
I know. I'm trying to think of like what are concrete examples of that. I think I love marketing stuff. I love creating like a postcard that we can hand
Oh,
out. I love
couldn't even do it if I tried.
I love making like Excel sheets and projections and big picture
Never
thinking.
made an Excel sheet in my life.
Stacey will put in the information for me because once that Excel sheet's done, I'm like, I'm over it.
Yeah,
And then
I made
bored.
it big and I'm never going to put something
What's
in
the
it
next
now.
thing we want to do?
She
And
makes it, it
Stacey's
sits there, but
like,
then I go back to it and I'm like, I got it. I like the interim one. You're like, I didn't even know you were filling that out. It was like a whole thing last year. I'm like, I worked hard on this, but like she created it for me.
Yeah.
So, and I think you love speaking.
oh, I love
And you're very good speaking. I love writing.
Mhm.
You don't love writing.
No.
So it really is just
Yeah.
I don't know, everything almost.
Yeah.
And you guys are so lucky that that just kind of happened and you didn't know that going into it.
Well, because I could see where that would be annoying if you know what I mean. Like
Mhm.
if I was changing, you would die if I changed
Oh
the
my God,
spreadsheet.
don't touch my spreadsheet.
Yeah, yeah, you
Like
write
the
meetings
column
stuff.
even.
So
Like
do you make the spreadsheet? Stacy then starts filling it in, but then you never check the spreadsheet again?
Well, sometimes. Usually,
if Stacey's like, hey, did you see this? So example would be our intake log. So I created a whole intake log that's like the client, their age, what their presentation is, a drop down of like, did we ask a therapist if they can see them, all this stuff. Never have I put in one client, but there's 700 in there
pretty.
because Stacey's put them in. So it's like, I'll create, and then she'll give me feedback, like, we need another drop down for this or
Yeah.
this, and then I'll update it. But I think that's where like my ADHD comes in, where I'm like hyper focused on this. I'm very excited to make this thing and can see it. And then I get bored with it. And then Stacey will like do the actual work part of it of like
Mhm.
putting in the
well, it's actual
clients
work
and
to
being able to do
create.
that part,
Yeah.
which helps us stay organized. So
Well, and having 29 therapists now, there must have to, with 4 locations, like putting systems and processes, has to be something that's probably a little bit more necessary
Mhm.
now than when you had one location.
absolutely
yes.
Otherwise, you're going to lose your minds.
be existing, I think. And
No.
we've had like trial and error to be like, what works, what doesn't work. So we've made those mistakes too. So it's nice. Like I think every time we do something again, we do learn and get
Mhm.
better. at
Like
what we do.
Stacey does all onboarding. I'll do the website. I'll do payouts. Like Stacey handles any email that comes into the practice. So it's really like, it's kind of like fair play for parents.
I know.
But it's like we have our own tasks. They're 100% our own
Yeah.
and we own them and we have to let each
And
other
we
know.
said we try to do each other's, which we've done. It goes poorly. Like she tried to do the intake log once, and it was, I think we already said
No, but you had
it was like the first name, it was like the crazy. I go, this is her last name. And it was like the date was wrong.
I emailed somebody and I said hi, and it was their last name. Like someone
my
looking for
God.
services. So I did 3 emails.
She was trying
so
to be
that was
helpful.
one of them. And the second email, I responded back to Main Street. I said, hey, whoever, like, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah. And I'm like,
I was-
Stacey's like, you sent that to us.
I go,
You're not
you're
even
done.
send it.
Stacy
Like,
replies
you're
to you
done.
like, please stop
You're
sending out
done.
emails.
Do not touch the
Done.
inbox.
Yeah. And then what did I do? I think I deleted like a whole spreadsheet at one point. I was like so nervous. she's going to be so mad at me. Like, I just should not ever try. I think I was like adding a column or something so basic, but it's like, if we stay in our lane, I don't think we need to go learning new things at this point in terms of like,
we know what works.
Your job, my job. So yeah, it just has been really like seamless and natural for us.
I know.
Well, I think a big component then is giving up control of those areas that you know that you're not as good at, and like letting your partner do those things without having your opinions on them, like letting them run with that,
Yeah. Which is easy when it's not your thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like being in the field that you guys are in adds kind of like a whole nother element because like human psychology and behavior on such a different level. Is it hard not using all of that knowledge and skills like when you're approaching business tasks?
I think we have really good communication skills and emotional regulation. Like, I don't think we've ever gotten in a fight. Like, I think even if we disagree, it's like we joke. Well, first, if anything happens, we like try to take the blame, both of us. Like, something will happen.
Thinking of that.
Something will happen and Stacey's like, it's my fault. I'm like, no, it's my fault because Stacey's like, I didn't remind you. I'm like, but you shouldn't have to remind me about my schedule. Like, and so it's like, we just like kind of.
Yeah, there was something that you had nothing to do with. And I was like, this is my fault. And you're like, no, but I should have. And it made no sense. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Like, you don't have to take full responsibility for that.
Like, so like, other than getting upset, like we just try to like
perspective. Like,
and co-regulate, I think. Because we both have said, like, if she goes like to Ireland or if I go away, it's just always harder because I just think it's so nice to be in this with somebody and to have somebody like at your same level that you're consulting with and quite frankly co-regulating with a lot of times. So like we both really feel it if the other person isn't there.
Yeah, and if something happens, which it does, of course, in business, it's like us against that problem, not like what happened or where did it go wrong. It's like
I think that is we never like come at it like I mean, even if somebody did do something which happened.
Right. It's radical acceptance. Okay, this happened. How are we going to move forward?
Exactly.
In a way that
let's start with today. Where are we today? Yeah. We're not like looking at blame. We can look at like, okay, how do we correct, but not necessarily.
How do we make sure this doesn't happen again?
Right. Yeah. But not like, oh, you should have done this or, like not harping on that. So
like, Lindsay, you emailed the wrong thing.
Yeah, right. Like we're
not friends anymore.
Yeah.
I know. And I do think like having us in it together helps. Danny's always, I'm like, Stacey's out of town. He's like, oh, you're going to be crabby.
So many small business owners are like, it's such a lonely place to be because it's like, you versus you. You're like talking to yourself when there's a problem. So it's like so nice to have somebody that that's in it with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And with such an opposite skill set that you can be like, I don't know how to solve this problem. Like, what's your idea?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do think also us being in different life phases has been so helpful because like I'm able to go to Stacey's house until like midnight and work on talks. Like I don't have kids right now.
Yeah.
So it's like that's really helpful, I think. I think it'd be hard if like we both have toddlers at home at the same time. And it's like we have so much to do. It's like when the other's life is busier, we can like kind of help each other out.
Yeah, that is a unique aspect of you guys. So it's not like, oh, we were just these two friends that are both in our, 30s and started this business. Like you guys are in different stages of life. So you bring different life experiences.
Like she'll be having a baby and I'll be empty nesting. Like by the time you have kids.
You'll be stealing that baby.
I know. You have to come over to my house.
No, but I will. That's
yeah.
Because like she's been so great of doing that for me. So it's like, of course, I have every intention doing that for her. I said I'm gonna have a pack and play on my family.
No, and Stacey's getting like nervous. Like you're the one having the baby. Remember, you were like, I was in the shower thinking about, I'm gonna have to drive your kid around in the car seat. I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh, you're already thinking about it? Hilarious. Okay, this is a great segue into my next question. All about like anxiety and ruminating on thoughts. No, so like, okay, one area I really want to touch on with you guys is there's so many different parts of like mental health that will bleed into your business life and like the version of you that shows up in business. So, I mean, there's so many places that we can start, but like, let's start with anxiety. And one thing that you talk about a lot is gaining awareness around these different things. And a lot of people lack awareness. So talk to me through like first how you gain awareness and then, some different tools you can use when you're having anxiety in different like business situations.
I think both of us also have gone to therapy or go to therapy if we start to feel that. So like, I know we're talking about awareness first, but sometimes it's helpful just to have an hour a week that's dedicated to
and you're not each other's therapist.
No, and no one in our practice is a therapist.
Yeah.
But being able to have a dedicated space to work through some of that stuff can be helpful. Yeah,
Yeah,
what do
and
you think?
we always say, I think like, oh, it all starts with awareness because you can't correct what you don't know, and that's kind of like where Take Two started,
Mhm.
just to bring that kind of into people's world of stop and think about this so that you can be intentional and deliberate, and do the inventory on yourself, or really look at like where am I struggling, what is helpful, what is not helpful, and I think without starting there, you don't even know what you're trying to fix. And we talk about that too, like with anxiety, like people go their whole life just thinking like, "Oh, I'm just anxious." And it's like, "Well, no, let's look at what's going on here." And if you like build some awareness, you could actually like dial that back, get some distance and really change the way you operate. And
Mhm.
I think we've both done that, like
Yes.
to your point with our own like personally like going to therapy and taking care of it, and also just like the way that we I think are thoughtful about approaching business and
Mhm.
learning as we go, maybe like what's helpful and not helpful.
Yeah. I think we always wait before we make decisions. Like, we never click to respond if we're like, we can identify, oh, I'm having big feelings.
Mhm.
Like, we can just sit on this a little bit. I think a lot of the awareness comes from like noticing yourself versus like judging or problem solving. So a lot of people be like, well, I'm just thinking if this think about this, and if this
Mm.
goes wrong or what happens, I'm just planning. And so just being able to be like, oh wow, I'm noticing my heart's racing, or I'm noticing that I can't stop thinking about hiring this person on whatever the situation is, just noticing like how often are you thinking about it, and what way are you thinking about it, how does your body feel, and start to recognize patterns in your
Yeah, I think like what way
feelings.
are you thinking about it? Because I think we obviously just because of what we do are really good at defining rumination
Mhm.
versus problem solving. So I think we are not as likely to get caught in like that worry cycle with work things. Because not that we don't worry, but I do think we're action oriented and try to like, you know, put it on the table, discuss it. Like she said, like stop, think about it.
Will you
Mhm.
explain to people the difference between
Yeah, I
rumination
was gonna
and
say, where's
problem
that
solving?
line?
Yeah,
Where's
yeah.
that line of like,
I think you did a
this
good
is
job.
normal,
Mhm.
like this is what everyone thinks about. This is the normal level of like, you should worry about some things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
now here's the line, and now you're just being crazy.
Right. I say, like whenever you're saying what if a lot, you're usually in the anxiety space, but sometimes there are what ifs. But like how far are you going when you're thinking about that? So I mean, I think the biggest thing is this something that you can control? And can you take a small action? Because you could think about something and worry, you're not going to solve anything with overthinking. You can problem solve a little, but to the extent that you're still in your head, just creating all these like off ramps, it's usually not that helpful.
Mhm.
So I think, is this something within my window of control? And can I take a small action and impact it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like what is my I know
I
I'm
know.
like the definition.
I think about it in the way of, can I identify how this is making me feel? So let me put feeling words to what's happening. And then what do I want to do with that? Like, so some people will sit there and be like you said, what's in your control? Did you problem solve it? Like, okay, I feel like I said something offensive to Stacy yesterday, and I might be sitting at night thinking. It's like, okay, well, I feel, you know, sad or like embarrassed that I might have hurt her feelings. So what's ruminating is just thinking about it. And is she thinking this? And is she doing that? Problem solving is like, okay, tomorrow I want to say something, or is it really not that big of a deal? Then I'm going to choose to let it go. So once you've decided how something made you feel, what you want to do with that feeling, then you're done. Like, if you continue to think about it and you're not problem solving it, then you're ruminating.
Got it. I didn't realize too, is like control has such a big aspect of it. And does that have
Mhm.
so much to do with like the causing of the anxiety in itself? It's like if you can't control something, then you
Yeah.
kind of just spiral.
I mean, yeah, anxiety at its core, it's uncertainty. It's like getting comfortable with that uncertainty. And when you're really anxious, you're not comfortable with that uncertainty, and your brain is trying to like exert some control to be comfortable. But it ends up just being then you're more anxious because you're just grasping at straws of like, how can I do this? And usually if it's something you can't control, it's just a waste of your energy.
Time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But there are a lot of things that you can control. And then
Yes.
you just do like the next step. Do you know what I mean? Like what is one small action that I can take
Mhm.
to get myself more solid on this problem? And hopefully that can kind of quiet the anxiety.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Because sometimes you think of it as like, well, if I think of every possible scenario and I'm so prepared for everything that could possibly go wrong,
Yes.
then I'll be okay because now I know I can handle that. But I imagine that also produces a lot of offshoots and
A lot of like
Well,
going down
rabbit
spiral.
holes.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then oftentimes I hear people are replaying the same scenario. So you're not just thinking about, oh, every scenario that can go wrong. You're thinking about every scenario that can go wrong 17 times. And it's like, we've already thought about it once. We can move on.
We can move on now.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
and how many of those scenarios are going to happen?
Yeah.
And do you need to use your energy for that when like you could have used your energy for looking at like, what if I take this small action and it goes right and then I'm
Mhm.
actually like moving forward?
Yeah. Are there good ways to, so like, say you're starting to feel anxiety. It's like for the longest time, I used to think, I'm like, I don't have anxiety. I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And it was actually my therapist that she's like, you have never been late. You're 10 minutes early every single time. That's anxiety. I'm like, what are you talking about? So like once the awareness was around it a little bit more, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel that. And sure my husband can say for sure. I'm like 10 minutes before we need to be somewhere. I'm like, you guys, what? Get your shoes on. We need to go. I'm like, okay, I need to like relax a minute. So,
Mhm.
what are some tools people can use in the moment if they start feeling like they're getting really anxious about something?
I think what you said and you're indicating like IDing it, knowing, okay, I feel this in my body. I'm starting to have this, whatever it is that anxiety looks like for you, so that you can really stop and label it. And I think that makes a difference to get some distance from it. So it doesn't seem like, oh my gosh, we have to be there, we're going to be late, whatever your train of thought is. It's like, okay, I know this is my anxiety. I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to say something to myself. You're always on time, or if you're a few minutes late, it's okay. And just kind of reframing how you deal with it so it doesn't seem like a panic to your brain. And then it becomes a little less threatening. And then you have less of a reaction. So it's kind of like a retraining. And as you act and react differently, it's easier to go like that other path because it's just kind of like a clear, like if you've been anxious for like 50 years, it's just a straight path through anxiety. So you have to dial it back, rewire, do something different.
Mhm.
And then, you see some changes.
Yeah, I think a lot about the size of the problem. That's what I help kids think about. So if you're worried about being 10 minutes late, what is the size of that problem? Like if we're going to my sister's house, like, does it really matter if I'm 10 minutes late? So like again, we have to have the awareness.
Is it
I'm
worth making
feeling
everyone
anxious.
miserable to get
Yeah.
out the door?
Now my
No.
kids are in a bad mood and my husband's annoyed. Like, so what is the size of the problem? I know other ones I like for tools around anxiety.
Because, like in business, especially,
Mhm.
there's so many times where you feel like you're putting out fires and you have to constantly respond to people. So, I love what you said of like putting some distance there so you can actually make like a better informed decision on how to handle it. Especially as you guys are business owners opening 4 locations. I imagine it's not this like smooth sailing. Like there's things that are going to, come up all the time that's probably anxiety causing.
I think of anxiety, right? Anxiety is also the idea of like something's happening that I really care about or I'm worried I might not be able to handle. And confidence is saying not that that's going to go perfectly, but that if shit hits the fan and everything goes bad, I believe that I can handle that. So with Stacy by myself, I don't know because Stacy will handle all the paperwork.
If
No,
Stacey's
but
holding my hand,
yeah,
be okay.
Stacy will deal
Handle
with
it
all
together.
of it, and I'll be like, "What about these other?" No, but the idea of believing in yourself that you can handle something, so
I think
that helps
that's
with
so important.
anxiety
When we
too.
talk about anxiety, it's like
With business,
twofold. It's
yeah.
like overestimation of a threat, underestimation of your ability to deal with it. And I think sometimes we don't focus or people don't focus on like the fact that they're really like underestimating that they could deal with it. So you probably don't have to spin out and think of like 17 different scenarios because
Mhm.
if you trust yourself and you just have like a basic understanding, like even if this happens and it's bad, I can absorb it and like I'll know how to move forward. So I don't have to really use so much mental energy
Mhm.
when it hasn't happened yet.
So, are there different parts of your brain then? So, like if you're in a heightened anxiety state,
Mm.
are you not using, I don't even know what they are. You guys can speak way better on this, like the frontal
You
lobe,
got it,
cortex, all, all those things. Like,
That's all you need.
I mean, I took a science class back in the day. Can you kind of explain what happens to your brain in those scenarios?
You want me
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, when your brain perceives something as a threat, which the interesting thing about that is a lot of times it's subconscious, so it's not something that you even realize you think is a threat. That's why anxiety is kind of confusing.
Mhm.
But in whatever way your brain perceives something as a threat, a little alarm goes off in your amygdala that gets like lit up, which is in your emotion brain, and that like sets off this whole like the whole hormonal response that causes you to be like your autonomic nervous system. You get fight or flight, and your body prepares for danger. As your body's preparing for this danger, part of that is we want to act quick. because it's a threat.
Mhm.
So we don't want to be thinking. Like we use the example of like if a
Mhm.
dog is charging at you, you don't want to be like, oh, should I adopt this dog? Should I pet this dog? Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
no. You
should
just
I
foster?
act? Instinct, pure instinct
No.
kicks in, and you like either whatever you do, it just happens, not even within your awareness. So
Mhm.
it is your thinking when you're really heightened.
So your
Pref-
frontal lobe, which is what
Was it the frontal lobe?
in the
It's the
back lobe.
prefrontal cortex,
Yeah.
yeah, that like literally can turn off, and you are operating, from emotion or instinct. And that is why when like you get in an argument or you're super reactive, like one of those times where you're like, I feel like I was floating above my head
Mhm.
because I was so worked up, that's because you have really lost the ability to think and you're just kind of lashing out like in whatever way, or some people shut down, some lash out.
Mhm.
But it's like that's why that's important to manage, because you can really lose control. So in talking about like not reacting right away and like sitting with something and thinking, and if you're not regulated, like that's okay, but have the awareness to know
Yeah.
like I need to stop and regulate.
Like, don't make any big business decisions when your
No.
brain's turned off.
No.
And
Yeah.
Right, because
and
that emotional regulation's in there, that problem solving, rational thinking.
All
But
part of the
yeah,
prefrontal.
and what also impacts your prefrontal cortex is alcohol. So I think a lot about like how people are when they're drinking, right? They're not maybe making the best decisions too, in arguments and stuff like that. So when you're in a heightened emotional state, same thing.
Mhm.
Maybe we're not making the best we can not make the best decision. So that's where I think we do a good job of first hear something that we don't love. We have our feelings, we co-regulate together, calm down, and then be like, okay, you write down what you think we should do about it. I'll write down what I think we should do about it. Come back together. And usually they happen to be the
Yeah.
same
then make a
thing.
much better
Yes,
decision.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
our frontal lobes turn back on.
Right. And so
Yeah.
what are some ways like if people are feeling super heightened? I remember hearing ones you said like ice cubes,
Mhm.
breathing. Like what are some of those different techniques that are just easy, use in the moment, remove yourself? Like what can people do?
Yeah, and this is helpful too, like when you're managing people. So like if people are really heightened, you can co-regulate with them. So your staff comes to you and they're like, oh my gosh, this patient or this person, and they're feeling really heightened. Um, it's really not about problem solving it in the moment and coming down. And so ice cubes is helpful. Splashing cold water on your face. I know you see online a lot of people doing like the ice and water and shoving their face in it. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Is that because it just your nervous system now has to focus on that or what's happening?
Yeah, there's something, it's called like the mammalian dive. I'm probably saying it wrong. Mammalian dive reflex. And it's all like connected to like your vagus nerve and the sympathetic nervous system, which is
Okay.
fight or flight. So it's just things that get you back into that parasympathetic pretty quick. And that is one of them, that when you hit that cold water, I can't totally explain it, but that's like a little bit of it. And that's why like breathing is so important too, because that is the quickest way for you to like get into the parasympathetic. And there's certain ways to breathe. You always have access to breath. So breath is beautiful for doing that. I think sometimes it sounds like nothing, but it is so important and it's such a
Because we
useful.
do it so unconsciously.
Yes.
But then you realize you're like, oh, I'm only breathing this much. Like,
yeah.
you have to
Use it.
focus when you're like
Yeah.
going to do it.
Well, and it's like when a little baby's crying and they're like, they do that like little thing at the end. That is something called like the physiological sigh, which is like these 2 quick breaths and then like a exhale. And that they have shown is like the quickest way to get yourself into the parasympathetic
Interesting.
through
Okay.
breath. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that we use in
Mhm.
therapy that like can really shift you quickly. And those are in the moment. Like we talk
Mhm.
about like, there's in the moment and then there's like, priming your nervous system in general. But
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of what's another one that you like.
I use this a lot in coaching, but I think it can work in a work setting too. It's like if somebody's really upset, I'm like, I want to hear what you're saying first. Let's like to calm down, talk about something else. So I might be like, what'd you have for lunch? Or like something so random
Mhm.
that just gives that, like they have to focus, like, what did I have for lunch? Or
And
what
that
did I
brings
have
their
for
thinking
breakfast?
back online too. So then that gets them kind of out of that if they
Moment.
or if they're able to. Like that's
Mhm.
Is that one of those like identify 5 red things in
Yes.
the room?
Yes.
'Cause
That's
then you're like,
another one.
oh, shiny out,
One I like to do is like count down from a random number. So again, it's what's going to take your attention. Or like when kids are having really big feelings, I tell parents like talk really quiet. So if they have to hear you, they're like focused so they can hear what you're saying. But yeah, I'll be like 5,781. What's next? And the kids go,
1,000.
yeah. So all of those things are just ways to force your brain to focus on something else other than what's making that heightened emotion.
Got it. And that's such a
There.
good point too about there's so many times you deal with a customer or a
Mhm.
client. they're really escalated. Who knows what they just came from,
Yes.
what they're bringing to the table. So
Yeah.
not escalating in that moment.
Yeah. So you
Mhm.
can't jump into that because then nobody's regulated. And that's when it like really goes awry. So if you can like co-regulate, but that's
Yeah.
hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure like different situations, especially if somebody's angry with you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
You
how
get defensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing of just realizing like, okay, I'm the co-regulator here because this person is not regulated. And like, what can I do?
Yeah. In those situations, it's like, let me get you some water. So it forces them to stop talking, hold on, let me get you water, drink some water, and then we can talk. So it forces them to like pause for a second.
Those are such good tips because I imagine this, scenarios like this happen all the time.
Mhm.
And if you can just use a couple quick tools and people don't even have to realize you're doing them.
Yeah.
Remove yourself for like a minute, come back
Mhm.
in, and you're going to make such a better business decision
Yes.
too, and
Yeah.
relationship decision. That could be huge for people.
Definitely.
Another area that you guys are experts in and what, a personal relationship, how this started is ADHD.
Yes.
Lots of questions here. So one funny statistic, and I love it, it makes total sense, is that a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners tend to identify with the qualities that are,
Mhm.
ADHD driven.
Mhm.
So can you kind of touch on kind of that whole idea around ADHD and like how it relates to business owners?
Yes. So with ADHD, we know with a lot of the symptoms and the way that our brain thinks, we're a lot more creative, big picture thinkers. We kind of jump into things, some of the problems that make business harder.
Very impulsive.
Yes, right. And we can kind of see things maybe that other people don't think like that. They like straight lines of like, okay, I'm gonna do this and this. Like we kind of see the end game and then we're like, okay, how do I get there? Like I just want to be able to do that. Well, I think we get driven by what excites us, so then we'll like jump in and do those things. So I
Like
think
a dopamine hit.
kind of yes, and I think that makes us great business owners. Like I say, like I jump in 2 feet. I'm like, we could do this and this, and I think I made our website. Like when Stacy agreed to start a practice with me, I think the first thing I did was make our website in 2 days. And you're like, that's great, but like we have no paperwork filled out. We have no business license.
We have a really good
like-
website though. We get compliments on our website all the
And
time.
I'm like, but have you seen our website?
We don't have a tax ID number, but we have a website.
We have a website. We have a domain. So in that sense, like it can be really powerful. I think when it comes to small business, where the stressors lie is what I'm talking about, where it's like, okay, I've created this system and systems are so important for people with ADHD, then the follow through gets really hard and the procrastination. And we say ADHD is, I know exactly what I need to do. I know how to do it and I can't get myself to do it. So it's like a performance issue. It's like, unless I'm super excited about it and it's energizing me, it's really, really hard to get myself to do those boring.
Well, which is why it's
mundane
nice to
tasks.
have like the switching off because if it's not a preferred task for her and I don't mind doing it, that kind of takes that off of her plate and then you can like focus on like the higher
Yes.
level creative thing.
Yeah. So with small business, I think I could get down on myself and be like, oh my gosh, how am I not capable of like responding to an email? Like I will not. We know this. I won't. You know this person.
I second that.
Yeah, right? I'll be like, I'm so sorry. But then I'll be redoing the website for 4 hours. Stacey's like, okay,
Right.
but did you get back to that?
And you're like, guess what? I'm going to fly to New York and do a TED Talk.
Right. And I'll do that and I'll write a whole TED Talk, but I'm not going to respond to an email. So I could get down on myself or I can continue to try to have me do that. But instead I say outsource. Like I luckily have Stacy who can help me and like we'll meet together and she'll be like, do this right now before we leave.
We do body doubling. a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, body doubling is
Yes.
huge. I love that one. Can you talk a little bit about what body doubling
I
is?
we've been doing that a lot lately.
I know.
Yeah.
And then we leave feeling so good.
I know, we really do. We're so proud of ourselves.
I mean, if you need me to pat you on the back,
We
I
do.
will.
we need it.
So like I said, it's ADHD. I think a lot of people, I'm gonna go back up for a minute. A lot of people think about it as like, oh, you just can't pay attention. And how I explain it to parents is it's a lot about regulation. It's hard to regulate your emotions because it impacts, again, the same thing we were talking about with anxiety. Like it's hard to regulate your emotions. It's hard to regulate your attention. It's hard to regulate your time management.
It's not like you don't have, it's like you have too much attention. It's not that you don't have enough attention. It's like
Just you can't
there's so
delegate,
much,
tell
like,
it where to put. Yeah, like you're like,
because don't you think it's sometimes like misrepresented in that way? Of,
yes.
Like, oh, you can't pay attention. And it's like,
Yes.
that's not what it is.
You
Yeah.
can pay attention, especially if it's something you like.
If it's exciting, all day long, I'll pay attention.
Like that website, I paid a lot of attention to that website. If Stacey sent me paperwork to review that, I'm like, okay, Lindsay, you can do this. And then I read one paragraph and then I'm like, what else could
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
just watch a show for a minute and then, yeah.
Yeah. Dan's like, I need your tax document.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I will record 4 podcasts before I can even pretend to think I want to like go in my email and find a tax document.
Exactly.
Like that sounds like a lot of, I can't do that. I can't do it.
No. And so that's where body doubling, what that essentially is having someone else in the room with you. So it'd be like, okay, Dan, when we finish dinner and we're sitting and we're hanging out, like sit there with me while I pull up the tax document. So it's somebody who's literally like in the room with you and you're doing your own stuff, but they're keeping you on task
It's
just
like
by being
accountability.
there.
They're physically
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because it works. I've done it. It absolutely works. Why?
I think it's just because with ADHD, when we talk about, oh, I can like go veer over here and let me go see what this person's doing, or like I'm going to look at my phone. Like you have that other person there, and when they're focused, you can kind of mimic their behavior, and then you also get those little dopamine hits of like, hey, blah blah blah. I'm like talking to
Like, just
Stacey, and
sent it
she's
to you.
like,
Did it.
Stacey's like, let me finish this email and then I'll talk to you. So instead of me being like, oh, I have all day to finish this task, I'm like, okay, well, she's doing that email. I'm going to finish this real quick. And then I get to tell her whatever I'm dying to tell her, which is probably so pointless. So it's like being able to just have somebody keep you on track. So, I'm a therapist for mostly like kids and teens. Their rooms, ADHD people, sometimes it's like, it's
Wild.
even me growing up like, Mom, my cheer uniform was in the third pile of the clothes at the bottom and you moved it. She's like, that is disgusting. Like, why is your
How do
cheer
you
uniform?
know that? But they do.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's clean. I was just trying on different clothes and I left it there. So how dare you move it?
It makes sense to me.
You're
Why do
right.
we have 30 Starbucks
Organized
cups?
mess. So if I'm in my room and trying to clean and like my mom's just sitting in there and then I start to get distracted, she can be like, all right, back on track. And that can be really helpful.
That's a great, body doubling is such a great tool.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other like little tips and tricks? I know sometimes you've talked about like scaffolding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are there different, things that people can do?
Systems, like that's going to be your best friend. So like there's things like I used to always lose my keys. And I worked at a hospital, so I needed my badge to get in. And the people knew me for the temporary badges. Like, oh, Lindsay, you're back again. I'm like, yeah, yeah. And it's like, then Danny, my husband, got me one of those like things that you can play the sound and it helps you find your keys. So I was like, oh, even less awareness than where my keys were. And I'm like all around my house, couldn't hear it. I'm like back at the temporary, hey guys, like I need my badge. And then I finally put a bowl by my front door and I just practiced. Like I have to put my keys here. Like I have to put my keys here right when I walk in the door. So I left my car, the keys are in my hand and I can drop them in the bowl right at the door. Perfect. So it's like finding systems that work for you and it has to kind of be in your face in order for it to work.
Yeah, in order to keep doing it and not forgetting to do it and then being mad that you didn't do it.
Right. It just like don't stop at your first system. If that doesn't work, try
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, for sure. Are there any other tips that people can use if they find themselves having a hard time with getting the, systems in order, accomplishing tasks, doing the mundane work?
I think like your phone is always with you. So we use like Google email and reminders and even like I'll be standing there and Stacey's like, okay, she like does all my scheduling for me. She's like, I'm going to put this on our schedule. And so then
Common schedule.
yeah, like our schedule, if we were interviewing someone or something. So that I think is really helpful. Like identifying this is something I need to prioritize, even if I don't love it.
Maybe color code it to make it more fun.
Yeah. And just that you always trick yourself, like know yourself, call yourself out. I'm like, oh, I'll do that when I get home. No, you won't. So it's like, just do it now. And so it's like, sometimes you got to call yourself out.
In the list, we started the shared to-do list, which is
Like a shared note on our
pretty
phone.
huge because she had her thing and I had my thing and I was always like showing her.
Stacey's was in a notebook that I had no access to. And mine is on a spreadsheet.
I do have access to that notebook actually, but yeah.
So now we're
it's
like
on the phone.
trying to find
I mean, technology these days,
Right.
guys.
So use technology to your benefit.
But yeah, like
Mhm.
organizing it in visual, obviously, like for
Mhm.
ADHD, like to have a visual is very helpful. And even just like with our shared one that we started, it's like there's a Lindsay section, there's a Stacy section, and there's a both.
Mhm.
And there are some things that like would have fallen off for me. So it's like, how do you want to do it if it's overwhelming? Like top 3 things. And don't look at, you know what I mean? Don't look at the 10 things underneath because you're going to get overwhelmed or you're going to get distracted.
Do nothing.
And then you do none of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Or then you're thinking about like the item number 9 and it's like,
Yeah.
no, but we got to do number 1 today.
Yeah.
So it is I think it's a hard thing, but I do think like we we continue to work at
Mhm.
systems because as much as like you try to give me credit, I'm not naturally that organized. I have like had to become more organized in life. I feel like I was not like my husband. He's so organized. So, can everything's where it's supposed to be. He has systems for everything. It's not totally
It's a
natural.
learned behavior
It
for
for
some,
me
right?
Yeah.
for me, it has been learned, and I
Yeah.
think, like, we're both learning it together, and
Mhm.
systems have been huge,
Mhm.
and they're evolving too.
Evolving, always
Yes,
evolving, right?
yes, yes.
And the more practices you open up, I imagine the systems then have to be reevaluated
Oh,
and
yeah.
changed.
that's what we were
And,
just talking about. Mhm.
right, identifying like what areas can we improve upon, what can we
Yes.
How do we
not.
make this easier if
Mhm.
we do it again? Is it, like, repeatable? And if it's
Yeah.
repeatable, that's better.
I love that.
Mhm.
Ah, repeatable is
Love a
huge.
repeat.
Right. And I think sometimes it's like zoom out, right? You
Mhm.
talk a lot about like zooming out and being like, I don't want to do this right now, but I have to because I'm an adult. And sometimes you just don't let those feelings take over.
Mhm.
And we do that with the gym, like work out every day at 6 a.m. with my body double Aaron next door. And like we both joke, like we don't go when each other's out of town because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like waking up at 5:30, you don't want to do it, but you're like, well, I don't have a choice. This is just what we do.
And I think of the Nike sign, just do it. That's what I tell a lot of my ADHDers. I'm like, or when you first walk in the house, like do whatever you need when you first get home. Like if their parents give them chores or like I think same thing with me. It's like send the email as soon as you tell me to. That's when you're the most motivated.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
use that to your advantage instead of saying, "Oh, I'll do it later."
Yeah. And one thing you talk about that I love is that sometimes like ADHD can be your superpower.
Mhm.
So can you talk a little bit about like different ways that you can use that for your, to your advantage?
Yeah, I think like I was saying, like I know obviously we're talking like you want to build on your weaknesses sometimes, and that's where we like work on our systems. We want to work through that, but also if I all day am stressed about sending an email, then I'm not going to be like excited about anything else. So if in the morning I can get that done, or if somebody like now we have an intake coordinator, it's like okay, now that's great. We're able to like pass that along to someone else, then I can do the things that really excite me. Like I love visuals. So I love the website and being able to edit that. And like, it seems like whenever we're stressed, all of a sudden I'm redoing the website and you're like, okay, there's 17 other things to do.
I can't wait to check out your
Oh, I know. I'm
website.
like
It's really
really
good.
talking it up
I
better.
know.
But I think it's the idea of like leading that we do get excited about things. We are big picture thinkers. We're really good at connecting with other people and being able to do all of those
Like,
things.
with an idea.
Yeah, helps us
Mhm.
be really great business owners. And so being able to lean into those things in your passions, I think what we see a lot of times with people with ADHD is they start one career and then they might jump to another. I try to teach my clients that that's okay, but how do we prep for that? So maybe don't decide to be a dentist if you are like, I don't know if I'm going to love that in 10 years. Like maybe we go into business or something that has the flexibility that when we get bored or when we're like, this isn't really filling my cup anymore, we have the ability to
You're not pigeonholed.
correct. We can like jump ship and do other things and learn how to work with our brain instead of like, why am I not?
I hate this.
Yeah,
No, this
why?
isn't
Yeah,
fun
now this is the
anymore.
rest of my life.
Well, because so much of business, you're like, oh, I'm getting into this, particular field because it's so fun and exciting. But like 90% of the job is actually the stuff you don't want to be doing.
Exactly. And that's why I tell my
It
clients
looks
too,
so
you have to
fun on
get good at
TV,
it.
yeah.
That's right. That sounds
Yeah.
great. That's why, like,
Yeah.
even with like the podcast, I like love you. Stacey's like, this is so much work because for me, you're like, I want to have everything written out and I want to prep and plan for it. And Lindsay's like, I just want to show up.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is
like,
great.
what do
I
you mean?
love
We're just
it.
chatting.
I'm like,
And I'll be like, we could talk about anxiety, like the latest research is that we know the latest research. Well, I just want to make sure. And I'm like, what do you mean? We talk about this all the time. So yeah.
That's one last area I want to touch on is mental load. You talked about it a little bit with like the fair play, but the mental load is a very, very real aspect of our everyday life. And we had Peter Moulton on the podcast a couple episodes ago, and he talks about like get the most important tasks done in the morning when your brain is the sharpest. It's like, what can you tell me about like mental load, how to identify that, and some things you can do to like work with your brain?
Well, I think we're in a unique situation being two women in business and that like I don't have any kids and the mental load at home. I think for you, like I'll go home and I'll be like da about work and you're like making dinner and having to
I
drive your
know,
kids to
sometimes I'm
7
like, I'm still
activities.
at the counter.
Yeah.
Did you do something?
You're like-
I go, I've been at the counter for an hour and a half. I'll get to it later.
Yeah.
It is almost just like,
So-
how is your mental load divided?
Yeah, and I think women in business sometimes we have a unique addition of like the mental load at home also being on our plates. So I don't know, like you too, it's like switching from being a stay-at-home mom to going back to being a therapist to going back to like running a business that I sold you on that was just gonna be us two now so big.
Surprise,
Oops.
4 locations.
Yeah, like I don't. How did you?
I mean,
shift?
I think again, I hate to always go back to awareness, but it is almost like taking an inventory, I think, of like, where do I want to put my energy and like, what is feeling heavy to me and what, where do I need support to?
Mhm.
I think sometimes it's like we have to look at it and be like, okay, I really need your help to do
Mhm.
this. Or like I just told my daughter, you have to like make dinner once a week
Mhm.
because it's just so much to be standing at the counter like after I get home. So just different things, I think, so that you're kind of acknowledging it and then handing off what you can. And I think that's hard for women.
That's hard, and that's
Mhm.
huge, though, if you can take a little bit of the piece of that off your plate on one day, no, you don't have to worry about that at all.
Yeah. And sometimes it feels bad, but I think then like, once you do it, it was kind of like the intake log.
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
like,
yes.
what did I
Stacey
say?
was like, "You will have to rip that intake log out of my dead hand."
I literally said that out.
Because we care so much about our clients, and she's like, "What do you mean I won't know who emailed and make sure that they get the right fit
I
of a
was
therapist and that
pissed.
no one answers them?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how are we gonna grow if we can't let go?" Yeah,
It's so much
it
work
is.
and it was so much time. But
Yeah.
so she did help take that off my plate. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay, well, we'll see. And I'm so freaking glad. I think
Yeah.
I would be not here if I had to do that right now.
Because there's
Yeah.
something to like willpower and like how much our brains can handle in a day. And my kids are totally going to cringe at this. But last night, my daughter's asking me a million questions and I was prepping for, we were shooting a
Mhm.
couple podcasts today. And I was like, my brain is cooked, guys. I know that's like what you guys say these days. And I feel it. Like I can't form another sentence or
Mhm.
thought. Like, please don't ask me any more questions.
Yeah.
And, so it's like, how much can our brains handle
Mhm.
throughout the day to make like good business decisions?
Like
No.
knowing when you're done too, right?
Yeah.
Like knowing when it's like, okay, almost like with regulation, like I don't want to take this break, but like I have to take this break because I feel like something not good is happening here. So,
Well, and I think that's what we did with the podcast. Like, we love the podcast. It's
right.
fun. Everybody's like, "Oh my," talks to us about
We
it.
still get asked when
Yeah, when the next season's gonna come out, and that gives us that pull, like, "Oh, we should be doing this, or we should make time for this." But then it's like we have to recognize how much of a mental load we can hold that will keep us in a good emotional state to run the practice. So could we do it and like come in on a Sunday and do that? That's yes, but then on Monday we're gonna be
how does
like,
that impact us?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing with your business, and we also talked about like doing a school refusal program, and we did a lot of research into it. We want to do that, and then we realized like this is just too much right now. And so being able to stop and think and be like, okay,
Mhm.
what can we take on now?
Okay, taking it off.
I
mean,
think
but
that's where I've grown the most. Before I'd be like, we're doing this. Like,
That's so huge.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's
Entrepreneurs are always pulled in like, oh, I should be doing this. I should be posting on YouTube. I should be
Mhm.
reaching out to this. I should be doing this event.
yeah.
Well, especially like when you're excited about it. And I think
Yeah.
with that program, we really did get excited about it.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, now we're going to do a school refusal track. So it looks
Yeah,
a
we
little bit
found
different.
a way to work
But
it in.
we,
Mhm.
we kind of pivoted and changed it a little and we're still doing it, but just being able to let go of it for now. And it's not a forever. But I think, again, that starts with like recognizing
Mhm.
how is this going to hit us overall? Is this worth the time and energy? And like, how am I feeling? Checking in.
Yeah.
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 That's so smart because then you're not thinking about it. It's not in the back of your head of like, ooh, we really should be doing this right now. It's like,
Mhm.
let's take that off our plate. Let's not even think about it right now. And let's like, maybe in 6 months, we look at it again and see if it makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like just being, especially with women, just being more gentle with ourselves, like having compassion, not
Mhm.
being like, I should, because the standards are crazy sometimes. So not trying to be like a superhuman and being okay with it. And that's kind of, I was going to say that about ADHD too.
Yeah.
Really focusing on like not feeling bad because I think with ADHD, especially like with kids and stuff, you can
Shame.
be made,
Mhm.
you can be made to feel like you're not doing enough or you're not good at this, but really looking at like, well, no, there's all these things that I am so good at it. And, focusing on that and like, it's okay to have the gaps. Everybody does. Those are just, different gaps.
Right. That's actually normal.
Right.
You shouldn't be able to do everything all the time at 100% capacity.
Right. Right.
I think about that with us. Like, it's interesting. You're like, oh my gosh, you guys are doing so much. And then we join these like Facebook groups of like private practice owners. And then we had to like stop looking at them because we're like, all these people are doing so much more than us. Like, we need to step it up. And then it's like, we don't read that Facebook.
sometimes
And then
that's
we're like,
smoke.
exactly how we want. Yeah.
Right. And maybe that person has no clients yet and they don't have any therapists under them.
Right.
So it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you don't know like what their full story is.
Mhm.
And, it's easy to look at that and be like, I'm a failure because
Comparison.
I'm not doing that. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's so important. I remember when the day I launched this podcast, actually, Dan's like, how was your day? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't really do that much today. And he's like, you launched a podcast? And I'm like, I know, but that just didn't feel like enough. And he's
Yeah.
like, you're insane. So it's
Yeah, like whose standard? Like what are we trying to get to?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important for business owners that have a million things that they should be doing and need to be doing and not feeling like a failure if you're only getting through like 5 of your to-do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So watch the comparison.
It's a
That's
fine
what I would
line,
say
I think,
too.
between like motivation and like aspirational and like shutting down and being critical. So it's just kind of like, how do you
And what's actually going to move the needle in your business and what's
Mhm.
just busy work.
Yes.
that
yes.
too? What's worth the time and energy at that time? You know what I mean? Like right now, not to say like later it might not look different, but like kind of
Yeah.
assessing like where do we want to put our time and energy now?
I know. And you're such a mom. I feel like I remember, do you remember we had a therapist and like one day I walk into Stacy's office and I'm like, why is there paperwork on your desk? And she's like, oh, I file it for the therapist. I'm like, why? She's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean? You're filing people's paperwork for them? And she's like, well, I mean,
I was like, I don't want them to have to do it themselves.
yeah, I'm like, what? I'm like, stop. And so it's like recognizing sometimes
Sometimes
wanna
you
be
need
so
someone to
helpful.
tell you that.
Yeah. She's like, I didn't even think about it. I'm like, she can file her own.
You're like, I
paperwork.
probably
Yeah.
don't need to be doing that task.
I-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I would
I
have
know.
still been doing it.
So it's just like finding what you're saying, like ways where you can push yourselves, awareness, where to put your energies.
That's just one more to do. You know, that's
Yeah,
just
it's like
one more.
There will always be something else to do.
Yes.
Always.
Always.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys are the best. I love both of you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
We
for
love you.
coming on the podcast. Maybe if you guys don't want to do your own Take Two this year, maybe you'll be like regular guests on the show talking about like executive functioning skills and things like that.
We'll do
Maybe
that.
that's a good
any day.
alternative. I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love this.
Yeah, we'll come here and you just ask us questions.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys. And we'll put everything in the show notes where people can find you and follow you.
Perfect.
I'm going to keep encouraging Lindsay to post more on social media. Stacy hardly does, but maybe that'll change.
Start writing.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Right. Every
many good
post I
steps.
make, you have to write an article.
Okay. There, look
Okay.
at that body doubling in motion right now.
There you
We
go.
do, we
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks for listening to Nothing Small About Business. Make sure you follow the show so you don't miss the value in upcoming episodes. Share this with someone who's growing and connect on socials for more.